ask that everyone please rise, remove your hats, and I'm going to hand the microphone off to Ms. T.C. Bush to sing our national anthem. Just outside the Twin Cities, and this particular traction engine has not missed a reunion for as long as we've been here as a club, since 1955, you guys. It's been here for every single one of them. An interesting note of the Minneapolis Traction Machine Company, again, I said that their factory was just outside the Twin Cities in Hopkins, Minnesota. They were located right next to an art college. So the Minneapolis company, they would hire artists from that college to come over and paint his tractor machinery. So there are no two Minneapolis machines this time period. That's what we're saying cosmetically. We've got Danny at the throttle today, and I think that's Sophia. Yep, she nodded. I got it right. And Tyler's up there riding along too. It's good to see you. They're bringing along a water tender wagon. So if this engine would have been stuck in a sawmill or out threshing, they didn't want the engine to sit still forever. The engine wasn't working, it wasn't making any money. So in order to case IH, back in those days it was JI case. Some of you might be wondering what the spinning balls on top of the engine is by that big whistle are. That's the engine's governor. So that is what controls how smoothly the engine can respond to quick load changes. So say on a sawmill, if they start ripping into a log, that device will make sure that the engine doesn't slow down and provides consistent, uniform power. We've got Clayton Hendrickson at the throttle today, and Aaron Kime all the way from Virginia at the wheel. Clayton's the caretaker of the Rock River Brasserie, which is our sister show in Hendrickson, Wisconsin. Their show's coming up over Labor Day weekend. You guys like the sight, sound, and smells of Sycamore from here in Sycamore? I highly encourage you to check out the Brasserie. And again, Hendrickson, Wisconsin, Labor Day weekend. Any whistles, Clayton? We've got another product of the JI Case Company. This is a little bit bigger. This is a 50 horsepower model. This was their best selling size. It's the perfect balance between being suited as it is for running stationary implements like a threshing machine or a sawmill. This machine's from 1914. It's owned by the Druid family. They're over in Holcomb. We've got Austin there at the throttle today. It looks like more in the steering. An interesting note to this particular machine, it has a canopy. We've seen a couple of those before. Those cost extra from the factory. Very few machines came with one of those standard. And you might think it's to keep the operator nice and cool and happy from the summer sun, because it's right up against that wood, right? But you'd be wrong. That's there to protect the machinery from the elements, because the condition of the machine back then was more important than the condition of the operator. You get part of the Druid family collection out of Holcomb. Any whistles, Austin? Alright, thank you. Next up here, I'm actually going to ask you guys to pause for just a second. There's just too much to cover here ahead of me. This is the traction engine built by the Illinois Tractor Company. It's very significant that we have one of these engines here. It's one of 6 built by this company left in existence, only 60 to be produced. It's a product of 1916. They started building engines in 1914. And it was built right here in Sycamore. The remains of the old factory where this machine was built is right on Park Avenue. It is now the Illinois Gardens complex, right outside of downtown Sycamore. It's a single-cylinder design. It has a very unusual partial reverse gear, which is grappling with just a hair at the moment. It's very tricky to get these engines to move smoothly sometimes because of the single-cylinder design. Part of the reason double-cylinder engines like that we saw were so popular is because you didn't have any trouble getting it to move. It was always at a position where there was a power stroke. But I digress. The Illinois Tractor Company, they managed to produce 63 engines before going bankrupt in 1935. They offered 3 sizes of engines, a 20, 22, and 25. Of the 6 remaining, there's 2 25s, 3 20s, and this is the 3 remaining 22 in the world. Proudly owned, operated, and maintained by members of the Illinois United States. This is a 10-ton, 1926 product of the Buffalo Springfield Steamroller Company. They're in Springfield, Ohio. A couple interesting features. This is a vertical boiler. These were very popular with construction machinery because of their compact design. They also make steam very, very quickly. You've got the water tank up there in front of the first roller. You've got a full bunker that we've got some master for right now today. And so another interesting thing is there are pieces of Buffalo inside the machine. And power steering. This has a very power steering. So the operator didn't have to straighten it with that big roll on. It's all part of the root family collection. It's perfect in many ways. That's all right. Okay, up next, there are only once before being exhausted out of the stack. This was built by the Kekkonen Company out of Mount Vernon, Indiana. It's a 22 horsepower model. An interesting note of this machine is it has two flywheels. You'll see some other 22 horse machines out there, but they only have one flywheel. So at some point in this engine's life, somebody decided to add the second one to smooth out the machine's ability to respond smoothly to load changes or support momentum to smooth everything out with two flywheels. Part of the stated family collection, you got two water tanks on either side. Water capacity. You got it. All right, man. Here we've got this Advent drum. This is the only Advent drum we've got here this year. This is an 18 horse machine. John, what year does this one again? A 1918 18 horsepower. That's easy to remember. This is a Advent Rumley. Their moniker was universal, just like the Fritz and Flips was their moniker. It's great on the drawbar. We're doing work behind it. It's great on the belt pulley. Very simple, rugged machines. You'll see more simple single-cylinder engines like this than any other combination. And what they sacrifice in efficiency, they make up for in ease of maintenance and pure raw power. We got this one owned by John Walsh. He's up in Wisconsin there at the throttle today. We got the family riding along, all the kids and everybody. An interesting note of this machine, if you look on the announcer stand side of this machine, right below that crank, there's a little fuse glass. That's how you monitor the water level of the boilers. You can see that water bobbing up and down all day long. You know, when you got to put water in the boilers and keep your steam pressure up, start making power. Yeah, John knows about that. Any whistles? Whistles like a bird. Alright, thanks for bringing it through, guys. Steam power wasn't just found exclusively on the American farm 100 years ago. It was also found in small industrial applications. You can find it in machine shops, high schools. As a matter of fact, some of the stationary engines we have in the Founders Building up towards the main entrance gate to the grounds here. The medium-sized one ran an air conditioning system in a Chicago high school. So there's really not a particular use for a lot of the bits and bobs that are left over. And an example of what you can do with some of that stuff is right here. This is a steam-powered doodle bug. It's owned by Bob Young. He's in Lombard, Illinois. It's got a 1940s International truck chassis and is powered by a 1920s engine and boiler kit. These were used originally in the stationary application, but now it's just a little fun way to get around. There's a lot of these around the Midwest, some of which are street legal, and I have personally seen can go above 40 miles an hour in some instances. Any whistles, Bob? I appreciate it, thank you. Here we have our next and only other Minneapolis product. This is a 24 horsepower model. Minneapolis had a redesign of all of their machinery in 1916, after which all of their horsepower ratings were a little bit smaller than the biggest one they made in their later years. Indicative of the Minneapolis line is the large head tank. That's for storing water right in front of the smokestack there. Another interesting feature of this machine is it has a duplex water pump up there right in front of the operator. So, in essence, a small steam-powered pump for slowly maintaining the boiler's water level. Just a little bit easy to see. Any whistles, guys? Any more? All right, thanks, guys. Here, we have something very, very special. This is the West House. This Company's Westinghouse, Schenectady, New York. 1884, you guys. Another interesting feature of this machine that you won't see on any other engines here is the wood boiler lagging that surrounds the vertical boiler there. That is to insulate it, because you just very dissimilar from an internal combustion engine where you want to get the heat out of it. On a steam engine, you want to keep the heat in. So those wood panels help insulate the boiler, keep it hot, which means you're not going to go through as much fuel. Any whistles, Mike? Oh, that one's shut off. That's all right. Thanks. Thanks for bringing it through. Okay, next up we have a 1965 horsepower Woodrow Longfellow. Their moniker was Longfellow due to their long and slender boiler barrel. And I'll go ahead and tell you what those numbers were in the boiler and the boiler's ability to produce steam. So it's got 19 boiler horsepower, and the 65 is belt horsepower. That's how much power it can produce off the belt flywheel to power an implement. This machine's owned by the Gould family of Wisconsin. We've got Whitney at the wheel today and some Levi at the throttle. Any whistles you got? All right, awesome. Thank you. Another interesting note of the board here online is the fact that the plugs on the rear wheels are actually cast straight into the wheel themselves. You see a lot of them here going out the rear wheels, but the idea behind those is that they were self-cleaning, or at least that's what the catalog said. And next up here, we've been talking about single seals. This is from 1921, another 4-year-old Longfellow, 19 and 65 horsepower. And I've asked them to bring this one through backwards to highlight how versatile steam can be and how much variance there was in design to get efficiency. So, we want right here. This is what's known as a tandem compound. And what that means is there are two cylinders that work together, and one of which uses exhaust steam. There's a law in physics that says a high pressure is equal in pushing force in a small area to a low pressure in a large area of pushing area. So that translates to the way this works is it's a tandem compound. The steam is generated and leaves the boiler, let's say at 175 psi. It pushes a first piston in this small high pressure cylinder backwards at that temperature and pressure before it's exhausted into the larger cylinder after it's lost a little bit of its heat energy and is now at a lower pressure, let's say 50 psi. Due to that law of physics, you get the same amount of pushing force to push it back in the opposite direction and save steam. So you get twice the amount of efficiency for no extra fuel whatsoever, which is part of the reason they got away with using such small boilers. So tandem compound, tandem because there are two cylinders that work in tandem with each other, two pistons that share a common crankshaft and piston rod, and a compound because it compounds the use of the steam. It uses it twice. This is part of the Runcie family collection. They're out of Maple Park. Product 1921. This was first owned by a gentleman named John Schrupp. He was in Hartford, Wisconsin, I believe. Is that right? Hartford, Wisconsin? That's what I thought. He was so impressed with his worker on Longfellow that he wrote a testimonial to the company factory, just raving about how wonderful his machine was, and it was actually featured in the photograph in the 1922 batch of Orgeron sales literature. So we have a couple period photographs of this machine to know a lot about its history. This one has a brand new boiler on it. This is the second year out and about. We've got Andy up there and Mr. Runcie at the controls. Any whistles you got? All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
The last spot now, Farmall 8. Farmall 8 for the record section of Farmall regular, which you will look later. Going behind it, we've got a Vermeer Renter. Now look up at the used doors that you drag get the water out of the field. Make sure that your crops didn't get flooded. Remember 1917? Case Cross Mount, 1018. After they were done making steam engines, they decided to try their tractor, not make a steam engine. They took the engine out of their restored it, made it beautiful. They had to do a lot of work just to get that boss logo on the side. You can see that bull logo? They had to find an old one of those, put it on a piece of metal, and then do a scan of it to be able to do a reproduction of it. And here we have a roughly oil pull tractor. Threshing machines and whatnot, so they started making their own tractor as well. The oil pull called that because it was oil cooled. And eventually they would combine with advanced threshing to become advanced threshing. Here we have a prairie tractor, which Liam will tell you a little bit more about.
Steam power obviously didn't lack additional air machines. It's 3060 Altman Taylor, owned by Steve Green over in Oregon, Illinois. And it's important to notice a couple common features between the steam traction engine we've been seeing. And it's got huge flywheels, huge drawbar openings, you've got large gears and so on. Even the radiator kind of looks like a boiler. Some of that was not intentional, but a great amount of it was to make people feel a little bit more comfortable with a new power source, internal combustion. So large and powerful that you wouldn't start seeing power like this on the American farm aggregated and the prairie tractors in the 1960s.
Here we have a Farmall 50 and the 1957. Farmall 350 was a later version of the 300, which is version H, which was descendant of the Farmall regular one that started it all. Here we have a 1957 Farmall 450 people. This is Dan Romer, Illinois. Here we have a John Deere 40 with a tricycle front end. 1947. See, that has that hydraulic three-point hitch on the back there. Henry Ferguson, an Irishman, originally made the three-point hitch. He combined Ford, I think that Ford 9 in it. As soon as they did that, every other company followed. Here's a 1950 John Deere B47 late style. This is Del Swanson. This is one of the most popular two-cylinder engines that John Deere ever made. They sold 300,000 John Deere Bs. Super 88 is a 1957. This is Rod Miller's out of Hampshire, Illinois. Oliver Super 88 was the first Oliver tractor. Here we have Jason Erickson with the John Deere Model B out of Sycamore, Illinois. Here we have John Deere 70 is the 1956. Jason Erickson. John Deere 70. John Deere, you're going to hear a lot of letters, numbers, three numbers, number systems, and then he's got to do a three number system. So that 70 used to be a G. Here in 1935, John Deere Model B. This is the Mike. Oh yeah, the Sycamore, Illinois. Family and friends in tow. You notice this one just has piece of sheet. John Deere, they just made their tractors very basic, utilitarian, nothing fancy. But in the 30s, they realized that people like these tractors a little nice. So they bought a Henry Ferguson to New York to redesign all their tractors. Here we have a 1946 John Deere Model 8. Iris Swedberg out of Sycamore, Illinois. Model 8 is interesting because instead of the power, here we have a 1936 KC. This is Don Quick out of Sycamore, Illinois. This is a KC regular, meaning that it's just got the wheels are set where they are. Actually, you can adjust your tread to make sure that you're at the right spacing for your pedals. Early 1944, John Deere Model ER. This is Jen Bodie out of Sycamore, Illinois. The R with that stands for regular. So this is essentially a John Deere Model B to tread with. Here is a John Deere R. This is James Bodie out of Sycamore, Illinois. The John Deere R was John Deere's first foray into diesel engines. And it was also the tractor. Here is a John Deere AR. This is 1951. This is James Bodie out of Sycamore, Illinois. Sort of like with that VR we saw before, this is essentially a John Deere Model 8. Bigger tires, not adjustable, type 2 general, hard farmer. Here's a 1941 Farmall A. This is Rob Ryan out of Hampshire, Illinois, local from Burlington. Out there, you see that A, the whole drivetrain is set off to the left, and then your seat, your steering rack is set off to the right. And here we have a very important piece. It's a McCormick Gearing 1530. So when McCormick Gearing first came together as a company, they were their own separate lines, their own separate dealerships. And the U.S. government said, no, we don't like that. You're one company. Start acting like one company. So they made this, the McCormick Series 1530, their first original design tractor that they made together. Here we have a 1943 come through, they'll say H or Super H. And really the Super was just when they did basically an upgrade to their tractors in the late 40s, early 50s. John Deere A, 1947, unstyled. This was prior to them bringing in Henry Gravis to make the 1944 John Deere A, Chuck Bergsmith out of Sycamore, Illinois. Here we have a 1938 John Deere G. This is Kim's from Genoa, Illinois, unstyled. This is the granddaddy of the 70 and the 700 series we go on later. This is that unstyled series, which has a piece of sheet metal. Here we have a 1936 KC. This is Dustin Listeners out of Sycamore, Illinois. The KC was the tractor that came after they were done with the cross mount. And as you can see, they did it in battleship gray instead of that classic red color, which didn't come along until the mid-30s. Here we have a John Deere B. This is Eastwood Road. Lake style. 6-speed. Here we have a horsepower. This is Kelso Typers out of DeKalb, Illinois. Again, the H was descended directly from the F-20. The M was descended directly from the F-30. Otherwise, here we have one of those F-20s. This is the 1939 Farmall F-20. This is Gordon Gottschalk out of Byron, Illinois. At the time, Farmall was back so that you could attach up implements such as harvester, pull that behind you. Stylized front grille. The Minneapolis Smoke Lean has a unique feature that they have